This, Anirin, is World of Warcraft.
Telly, what are you doing?
Nothing. Hi, Evie. I don't know what. Nothing.
Telly, we agreed. Annie is just a baby. He doesn't get any screen time until he's at least 5, and we certainly won't be exploiting him for cheap jokes on our stupid YouTube channel.
This is not a cheap joke, Evertel. This is World of Warcraft. This game is incredibly important to me and to you, and it means a lot to me as Annie's father to be able to share the things that I care about with my son.
You're going to get him to farm herbs for you, aren't you?
If he wants to gather herbs on my farming alt, then who am I to deny him that adventure?
Okay, fine. You're really behind on your long boy progress after all.
World of Warcraft, may I introduce to you our son, Anirin.
You've gotta be kidding me.
No, it's fine. It's a big server. We'll just put one of those dashes on the U. Behold, Anirin. Oh, come on.
Tally.
Does the name still work with a double N at the end, do you think?
Daddy, I collected all of those herbs just like you asked me.
Great work, XX69XX. You continue to make your parents proud.
Knowledge is power.
Hello, Internet. Taliesin here, and welcome back to another episode of the Weekly Reset. Taliesin and Evertel's Wondrous Wisdom Show, where... No, only joking, don't worry. And first up, apologies for the lack of videos for the last couple of weeks, because, you know, life got a little bit busy for a while there, but we are back now and just in time because, okay, so we still haven't got that Shadowlands alpha yet. Just like I guessed that we wouldn't have by now in the last episode, which, by the way, is driving the WoW content creation community absolutely insane with anxiety and worry, especially since we're all locked up in our houses now with nothing else to do. But good news, because of course, now I've even mentioned the Shadowlands alpha and how it's not here yet, it's a pretty much cast iron guarantee that Blizzard will in fact drop the alpha mere minutes after this video is published, making me look as stupid as possible, because that's what always happens. And because I really care about you guys, I want you to have alpha, I'm going to help it along a little bit more by officially sticking to my prediction of a late March, early April alpha party, which you are all invited to. You're not all invited, sorry, man. Especially now that all Blizzard staff are also working from home, thanks to that worldwide pandemic that has forced people to stay indoors constantly, turning everyone's lives completely upside down, except for us gamers whose lives are basically exactly the same as always. So go ahead, Blizz. Prove me wrong, as usual. I'm willing to take this one for the team. And of course, that alpha is indeed looking more likely than ever, with the fact that Battle for Azeroth is now undeniably, categorically, totally over. Officially, as in with the release of the last wing of LFR this week, we have had the final content drop that we will see until the Shadowlands expansion launches. Or have we? Because this week we have big BFA news, with Blizzard rolling out changes and updates that the community has been crying out for months. If I was the kind of YouTuber to do a title like, finally, Blizz listen, the real 8.3 starts now, then I'd definitely be doing that, and I will. But before I do, let's take a look at the real reason you're all here, you're just too polite to say so. Long Boy Watch, my continuing quest to procure the necessary 5 million gold that I will need to purchase WoW's most expensive date before BFA is over. And I know I just said that BFA is over, but I also just said that 8.3 is only just beginning, so honestly, who even knows anymore? Not me. And you might remember that last episode, my progress was going swimmingly, with a total standing at 3,460,000 Brutosaur bucks, which was pleasing. And I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, wow, Taliesin, that's great. And 3 weeks ago, which means by now, I bet the total will be much higher. And obviously, you'd be totally wrong. Because right now, I've got a little bit more, 3,486,000 gold. Because screw you, I had a baby, okay? We're in the hospital and my Xenanthid game suffered as a result. Apologies, I'll be back on it with a vengeance from now on. Well, with a druid, but I'll be working hard. Which leaves us free to move on to that main story, the only story of the week, the future of BFA, as prompted by the end of BFA, as marked by the launch of the Waking Dream, 4th wing of the Nyalotha raid at LFR difficulty, and the symbolic final destination of the BFA content train, delivering us to this point where we can start making fully informed judgments on BFA as an expansion overall, where it stands in the canon of WoW expansions, how disappointed we are that calling it froth never really caught on. But for now, there are no barriers to anyone who plays this game from seeing this last that BFA has to offer and take out the final old god, N'Zoth. And this is good, because for all the criticism that the ending of the raid, with its suspicious lack of pre-rendered cinematic, received from the community at the launch of the instance, and not unfairly, as we've discussed at length in other videos, there is also no denying that Ian Hazacostas did have a point when he said that the whole purpose of those climactic in-game cutscenes was that they placed your character front and center, with your inappropriate transmog and saving your guildies who also appear in the scene. And look, I've got to admit that they are a whole lot more enjoyable when that's the case. First time that I saw Mavamwi zapping N'Zoth and rescuing the losers in my raid team, I was genuinely surprised by how cool it felt. And I know that some of you are going to take that weirdly personally, but it's true. And that experience is now open to everyone, regardless of skill level, because that's what LFR is, right? A casual, essentially sightseeing mode away from the rigors of organized raiding. That's how I see it. That's certainly how the forums see it, which were buzzing with excited chatter as those players could finally see with their own eyes the fall of N'Zoth in a celebration of group-finding unity as the armies of Azeroth pulled together to dive into Nyalotha, where they came face to face with a shit show, obviously. Just gonna save everyone some time. Don't bother queuing up! LFR N'Zoth makes Mythic N'Zoth look like a trash mob. People in your party don't have the cloak. Get screwed then, GG. Question, why the hell are people who haven't got their cloaks even allowed to queue for LFR N'Zoth? I think maybe because people are generally expecting not to have to think about mechanics in LFR these days. It's always a massive surprise and obstacle when they do. And N'Zoth isn't a difficult fight, but it does require groups to coordinate just a little bit, which means that the first week that it opens up on the lowest difficulty is always going to be an avalanche of wipes and levers and determination stacks. So many determination stacks. But at the end of it all, I like to think that LFR only players who persevered and get that kill feel like they have achieved something. I know I certainly did back in the Mists days, and that's awesome. But of course, N'Zoth has an extra special little sting in the tail too, that being Rathion's legendary cloak, the one that is kind of the entire focus of 8.3 and the gameplay of the patch, the cloak that canonically we have to wear so as to even enter Nyalotha without going instantly insane, the cloak that, if you don't have it equipped in the fight against N'Zoth, will see you instantly mind controlled by the old god at the pool. Yeah, that cloak. And when this wing of LFR opened, it was quite possible to queue for it without the cloak, meaning that huge swathes of every group turned hostile to their teammates at the very beginning of the fight. Every time, only to realise what was going on, feel rather foolish, and leave the group, only to be replaced by other players who also didn't have the cloak and just wanted to see the final boss on LFR like they always do, blissfully unaware that their own cloakless status was about to see them meet the same grisly fate. And this is how you get 10 stacks of determination, Janet, because you didn't get your cloak. By the time I tested it myself about 5 minutes ago, because seriously, LFR, you did at least need to have the cloak in your bags, so no one is now entering that instance having not done the opening quests, at least. But it is still possible to queue and enter the encounter without the cloak equipped, which obviously results in the exact same disastrous mess. And okay, you know what? I'm actually alright with this. That's funny. I think it's fine to make people work for their underwhelming end cinematic, you know? And now that we can all do it, now that there is nothing stopping even the most casual and solitary player of this game, none of those being bad things by the way, from experiencing the last of the content, BFA is truly over in a way that it hasn't been before. And yeah, I feel it too. As I logged into the game today, I did feel for the first time that Battle for Azeroth is done. My Heart of Azeroth is at level 81, my reputations are maxed, my guild have now completed our heroic Nyalotha progress, I'm pretty happy with my passes, which aren't going to get any better as our gear improves and the group needs less healing. I've completed my Titanic research for the legendary cloak. I do still have stuff to do in the game. Horrific visions are still super enjoyable to me. I have that final 15th level on my cloak to hit with the reset, and then I guess saving up for the backpack, which is weirdly small on my main, and loading up all my gear with gem slots, which is going to take ages. I'm hoping to complete the 8.3 Keystone Master Achievement in Mythic Plus for that sweet Worm from Beyond mount, which I'll never use. I'm actually making progress with my rated PvP mount this season too, and yeah, fine, so it's not the glorious roly-poly hippo boy, but it's good enough. And then of course there's the aforementioned gold making for that Brutosaur, so it's not like the content planes are totally barren for me in WoW right now, but it is definitely on the wind down. The stakes are very low. I'd expect to see less and less guildies logging in over the coming weeks. Such is the natural cycle. The only real question is, how long will this lull actually be this time? Are we looking at a snappy Legion-style jaunt into the next expansion, or a Mists-like year-long marathon and battle of attrition? I guess we'll find out soon, probably about an hour and a half after this video goes live. But in the meantime, don't worry fam, because the real 8.3 starts now. You won! You did it! Because actually now we've reached the end, Blizz is just taking the brakes off this thing and suddenly giving us everything we've been asking for all this time. The real 8.3 starts now. Because starting this week, all gear from Horrific Visions will automatically corrupt. If you're running 5 mask clears, which many of us are by now, well, Ogrimmar anyway, Stormwind this week, so you know. Good luck with that. But that's a guaranteed level 470 corrupted piece every week, which you can then, of course, put a gem slot on too. So basically, even pretending a sense of balance is now completely out the window for this game. It's gone. PvP is a total random proc Armageddon from now on. And shit, when Shadowlands comes around and you start to replace all of your max level, corrupted, gemmed gear with green quality Bastion shit swords or Venthyr crap cuffs, the power loss you felt at the beginning of BFA is gonna seem like absolutely nothing. Losing all those secondary stacks is going to sting even more than usual, so you know, it's good to see Blizz learning their lessons on that one. But you know what? That's Shadowlands' problem. I, for one, am very excited about the cacophony of OP endgame fun times that await not just my main, but also all my alts, because there's another much bigger and more exciting change coming next week too. Fam, the real 8.3 starts now. And as I'm sure you've already heard from multiple other creators and websites, essences are now account bound. You did it, guys! Blizz finally listened. Account-wide essences are here, sort of. No, I mean, they're account-wide, just not in the same way that having the essences on one toon gives you access to it on another. It's not automatic, you know, but that's fine. It's still account-wide essences, you know. It's still the thing that we asked for, I think. I mean, Blizz don't exactly tell us how much easier it's going to be to get the essences and ults, but it's definitely going to be easier. And that's the main thing. So we totally won, and it's essence party time. Okay, fine. Let's look at what they actually say. Okay, so first off, for the essence to become account-wide, you need to have achieved level 3 of that essence on one character in the first place, which is absolutely fine. That's expected. We are totally winning bigly right now. You did it, guys. And when you then get the essence on an ult, it is automatically at rank 3 when you receive it from Mother. So there's no starting at 1 and then having to grind it up. Another massive win. So much winning. But it is not a case of just logging into your ult and heading to the Chamber of the Heart to pick up your brand new essences, though. It's paid for by a currency that you get from 8.3 activities like Horrific Visions, Assaults, Raids, Mythic Plus, and PvP. And this currency, which unrelated, but I think Blizz have missed a trick by not calling Visions of Visiony and Visiony Bucks. They're called Echoes of Nyalotha, but let's face it, they might as well be called FU Blizz. This is not what we asked for, Blizz. No, seriously, FU tokens. This currency is soul-bound, which means this activity has to be done on the ult that you want the essences for. It can't be done on your main or another character and sent to your essenceless dude. And that's fine too. That's okay. That's actually, on the face of it, quite a nice idea. I don't think anyone will be too upset with the idea of actually having to play the game to get stuff. I don't think anyone will be too upset at that, no. And of course, a big improvement here is that no one has to do out-of-date 8.2 content anymore if they don't want to. The currency comes purely from current content, 8.3 stuff, win-win. And there's only the one currency, which means that you don't have to do PvP to unlock a PvP essence. You can get it by raiding or assaults or whatever. You only need to do the content that you want to do, as long as you've already done all the content you didn't want to do on your main to get the rank 3 in the first place, obviously. Win, win, win. So the only question, really, obviously, is how much of this currency are we going to need exactly? And it's a question that, granted, many of you will already know the answer to when you watch this video, because the answer will be in the game about a day and a half after this video goes live. But I'm going to go out on a limb here. With zero evidence or foreknowledge, I'm going to take an absolute complete stab in the dark, and I'm going to guess it's probably going to be a bit more currency than most of you will like. If I were a dev, I would make it a bare minimum, because at this point, who cares? It's the end of the expansion, and the end of an expansion is time for massive OP fun that you'll regret in the morning being Shadowlands. But my guess, oh, I can't wait for the comments when I'm wrong about this, is that the currency that you will need to buy a rank 3 essence on a fresh ult will be about a week's worth of activity, which is fine, I guess, because it's still the activity that you want to do, and it's still a rank 3 essence that you're getting at the end of that. But it's still, I suspect, a bit more than most of you would like. And it's definitely not what most of you meant when you said you wanted account-wide essences. And don't forget that a fresh ult doesn't need just one essence. It wants 4 of the efforts to be doing it properly, which, if my guess is right, would mean a month of proper play on that ult to be at a proper level. And at that point, I'm kind of thinking, it's not quite as different from the essence grind that I had in store for me on a new ult anyway, is it? But you know, maybe Blizz will surprise me. Maybe it'll end up being a whole lot quicker, and I'll end up looking like I was being overly pessimistic in my guess. Maybe it'll be a whole lot worse, and I'll look like I was being an overly optimistic Blizzard shill. I can't wait to find out. But I feel like however it turns out when the servers reopen on Tuesday, there's likely to be a lot of disappointed people logging in, only to find that instead of being able to stock up on max level essences, like picking them off the shelves of an imaginary essence supermarket, it's instead a little bit more like trying to find toilet paper or pasta or hand sanitizer in an actual supermarket. It's going to take a bit more effort than you'd anticipated. And I feel like, therefore, it's probably my job as a WoW content creator on my weekly WoW news show to just prepare you for that a little bit. I hope that's okay. But you won, guys. Well done.
The real 8.3 starts.
We're back!
Hey!
The weekly reset has returned!
Here it is.
You've returned.
I'm back.
I've returned. And our little baby, Anirin, has returned as well. But shh, because he's asleep.
He's asleep.
It's taken us so
like
long
2
to find
hours
this
to
little
get him to
moment.
go to sleep.
It's taken us so long. So if you have been waiting for videos, sitting at home going, why hasn't they done a video? Where's Tellius and Evertel? I can't smile without them. Well, that's why. It's because we was having a baby. How was that for you?
It was great.
Yeah, you loved it, did you?
I mean, you know.
It was a really relaxing, stress-free experience, as has been every single day since, actually.
Right.
It's been really good. Now, if you watched the Weekly Reset last time we were here, I proposed a hypothetical situation. I was like, so, Evertel, you know, we are progressing Nyloth at the moment.
Yeah.
What would happen if the baby started coming midway through an important kill? And you said I would definitely continue the raid. And I was like, okay. And I was doubtful. I pressed X for doubt. I'm pretty sure most people at home did as well. What happened when we were progressing Vexiona on our raid night? Maybe you'd like to pick up the story.
Well, it was great. It was going really well. I was staying out of all of the goop. And
that's a success.
Yeah, that's a success. And I was doing really well because our raid leader had threatened to kick anyone who got hit by Vexiona's breath, basically. Like, from the guilds.
Because this will amaze you to know, but quite a lot of us were getting hit by it.
Well,
it's weird.
Mostly mages, warlocks, and me. So as it turns out, I got totally, like, decimated by Vexiona's breath mechanic because I felt a little, like, pop and a trickle. And I was like,
Yeah, and as you were going, Vexiona's breath happened, and you completely died.
And I died.
And we all lolled at Evertel, obviously, we didn't G-kick you. And then afterwards I whispered you, and I was like, you noob. And you whispered me, and you were like, my waters just broke. And I was like, because we raid in different rooms, and I was like, oh, holy heck, do you want to go to hospital since the baby's about to be born? And what did you say?
Nah. I just stayed on and finished the raid.
You are like an absolute baller.
Well, you know.
That's why. And
know.
anytime anyone says, oh, Evertel's like a fake gamer, girls don't game, blah, blah, you can be like, please, how many times has your water's broken in raid, but you finished the raid?
Finished the raid.
That
Not
Vexiona
just
pull, by the way,
Vexiona.
the one that your water's broken, killed the boss that
Yeah,
pull.
we did it, finally. Yeah, and then we just progressed through the raid. And then an hour later, we were in the hospital.
Dude, I stan my baller wife giving birth, but also finishing the raid first. I stan, we all stan. Like, you get massive respect for that.
Thanks,
It was awesome.
Daddy.
Yeah. Oh, at last. But so now we do have a child now. And Iron is not going to be like a major part of the channel or anything like that. We wanted to do like an intro with him this week, just as a kind of an introduction.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we won't be exploiting him for our monetary gain. The boy is going to live a nice private life. After we've recorded this, we'll be doing like a Patreon introduction to an Iron and stuff, and we might include him in Q&As and things like that. Partly because it might be quite hard to record Q&As without him being a part of them.
Someone's gonna have to hold him.
And
basically.
he does crop up on stream and stuff as well. So
does,
if you want those things, you can follow us on Twitch and Patreon, and you'll see a lot more of an Iron. But
Twitter.
And Twitter as well, of course, where we just basically post baby photos. But I'd be surprised if you see much more of him on this channel. Also, because we have been away for like, well, this is gonna be 3 weeks in between the last video and this one,
right?
Because of stupid baby Annie. He's so stupid he can't even wipe his own bum. He can't even eat food. He can't even chew. He's stupid.
He has no teeth.
He can't eat. We like, keep telling him to wash his hands and cough into his elbow. He does nothing. But we haven't had time to remind you about the art competition that we launched last episode.
So this is a good time to do that because the deadline is creeping up. The deadline is the last day of March.
Yeah, as the clock ticks over onto April the 1st, April
March.
Fool's Day, that competition is over.
Exactly.
So through the last day of March is your last chance to get those pictures in. We have had lots of entries already.
They're pretty great.
Some really good ones to see, but we do have space for more. So please send your entry, our art competition, the details of which are on screen now, because it has to be certain dimensions and things like that.
Exactly.
And don't forget the prize. First prize, and there might well be more than one first prize, there were 4 last time, is $150 dues.
Wow.
150 US dollars. So maybe the US economy will improve a little bit by then, and the dollars will be worth more.
Are they worth anything?
Who knows? At the moment, that would be enough to get you a loaf of bread. If you
Or-
can find one.
You know what you could use them as? Print them out and use them as toilet paper.
I did the same sort of joke, you just did it better. Anyway, that's the art competition. Get your entry in, I demand it. And, you know, it can be whatever, but bear in mind what won last time.
Exactly.
And get yourself $150 dues and a place on our wall, because we will be replacing these pictures.
These will be
on
hard to
camera.
part with.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're not going to part with them, we're just going to put them somewhere else. But in the background here, we would encourage everyone who won last time to enter again, please. You were brilliant.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, me
lots
too.
Lots of really cool entries so far. It has been fun. But that's it for us this week. Can get making other videos now. And back on it. Anything to not spend time with my son.
Yeah, pretty much. And then also, hey, this is kind of a great time to, you know, if you're self-isolating, have a look through our back catalogue, join us on stream.
I'm always looking at your back catalogue. No excuses for me not to be making loads of videos.
Didn't you see that there's like a televangelist who is healing people through a live stream?
Amazing! What a legend!
Yeah, he was
what a
reaching
good
through.
guy! Wow, brilliant! And all we do is give people wow content to watch.
Yeah, so I'm just saying, if he can
Useless.
heal, then you can probably infect.
if that guy can heal through the internet, you can probably get infected through the internet. Wow, I know some YouTubers that I reckon have probably got it. Just saying, avoid them, watch us. 100%.
Wipe those keyboards down, guys.
Being a mum has made you mischievous.
Oh, has it?
Yeah, I think I like it. But thank you for joining us today. If you like this episode, don't thank us. Thank our patrons who make all of our work and at the moment our life possible by giving us their real life money. Thank you guys. It's unbelievable and I can't wait to have a proper chat with Annie and you soon. If you didn't like it, downvote the shit out of it. Remember, my name is Anirin.
Oh, don't vote it.
No, it's not Anirin.
It's not.
Although I did just poo my pants.
Oh.
No, my name is Taliesin from me.
And me, Evertel.
Until next time, cheerio.
Then he could at mass, I'd be making gold a whole lot quicker anyway. And also, who knows what on course even means? Because a big part of this equation is when Shadowlands will actually release. The least optimistic estimates have guessed at December. I've always thought it more likely that we'll see the new expansion around October or early November, and if that was ever going to prove to be the case, then we were always going to need to start seeing some action on the Shadowlands Alpha front, well, kind of around now, to be honest. And so it was with great excitement this week when some rather mysterious updates started going out, with Battle.net being modified to support new encrypted builds, which often doesn't coincide with a PTR or alpha at all, but which no alpha build would ever happen without. And suddenly the internet was ablaze with talk of the alpha and our first initial look at the new game beyond a single BlizzCon demo. The hype was palpable until it wasn't, because it turned out it was just a PTR update for WoW Classic, which was a little bit embarrassing. But then also, hang on, why would you need to update the WoW Classic PTR? And suddenly the internet was ablaze again, theorizing that this could be the first stages of getting ready to test a Burning Crusade Classic build, or maybe some new Classic Plus content. Things which, granted, Blizz haven't said they're doing, and if they were doing either of those things, then either would be a pretty big announcement, really. Certainly the kind of thing you'd want to talk about and milk some hype on, rather than quietly slip it onto the PTR for the lols. But then, you know, what else could it possibly be for, if not Burning Crusade? What else could Blizzard possibly have to test? And you know, I can't think of anything. It's not like there's possibly the most legendary server-wide event in the history of Vanilla WoW coming up on the horizon, which will doubtless see a massive influx of players back into the game, and specifically into one single zone to experience it for themselves, and which was famously an absolute buggy shit show to end all shit shows the first time round.
Good.
You know, if there was something like that coming up, then that would be completely understandable. But since there's not, yeah, I think that means we can definitely expect Burning Crusade Classic or Classic Plus on very soon. And anyway, then it turned out that actually it wasn't just the Classic PTR seeing work, and that in fact Blizz did then ship the very first Shadowlands Alpha. World of Warcraft 9.0.1.33411. Now, of course, this build is not yet playable or indeed data mineable. At the time of writing, this thing is locked tight and encrypted up the wazoo. But what does this mean? If we take BFA's cycle as a guide, then we got a mineable build a couple of weeks before the very first alpha invite started going out at the beginning of February. Now, obviously, we are already behind that date in 2020, and I get the feeling that Blizzard aren't in any kind of rush here. Although a playable alpha is clearly imminent, I'm not sure if it's especially close. Although now I've said that, expect a playable build to go out live with tons of invites about an hour after this video publishes. That's how it usually works. If I had to guess, and this really is a guess, I'd expect Wowhead to start data mining new models and broadcast text around the beginning to mid-March, with alpha invites going out late March, early April. And you better believe that until that happens, I will be sitting here refreshing Wowhead on the hour, because I'm with the forums on this one, which have been a buzz all week with anticipation, because this is the new expansion, guys, and who wouldn't be excited to check out the new expansion and test the new expansion and see what awesomeness the new expansion has to hold, what delights Blizzard have conjured up for us to know. It's a shit show, obviously. Why bother? It's bound to be shit. Stuff introduced on BlizzCon looked boring af, basically beta for Azeroth 2.0. Oh wow, get to play more idiotic content full of bugs that will never be fixed, yay! And it's not unreasonable to have trepidation about the Shadowlands Alpha, and not just in the usual, oh god, please let me get Alpha, oh please, oh man, please though, kind of way either. There's an edge to these early stages of Shadowlands testing, a nervousness amongst the player base that wasn't nearly so noticeable for BFA. After BFA left huge swathes of the player base unsatisfied, and that makes the stakes feel unusually high. Blizzard will sense that they can't afford another slip-up, and the player base are nowhere near as forgiving as they were a few years ago, which makes this little encrypted build feel awfully important. Shadowlands 9.0.1.33411 is like Schrodinger's expansion. In that data, there is simultaneously both a good expansion which will save WoW and a bad expansion which will kill it. Until it's finished and out there, we don't know which it is. Content creators are already rallying their communities to make sure their voices are heard and that their feedback feedback helps shape the game in meaningful ways, which is great, because solid testing and feedback is exactly what any alpha needs. Yay! And when I say feedback, obviously I mean your feedback, not mine, because hell yeah, I want to get alpha, because of course I do, but when I do, I make a point of never submitting any bug reports, because, you know, I ain't no snitch. But you should definitely give feedback. And the amount of changes and iteration that various systems went through on the 8.3 build, which was a lot, is a decent indication that Blizz are willing to listen to that feedback. And it's impossible to know how much the first playable alpha will even have that we can make suggestions about, but here's what I'm hoping we'll be able to see when it eventually opens up. Because for me, these are the biggest things that Shadowlands needs to get right. Covenants. Now, this is the most important system in the game, and the one that is probably the easiest to get wrong. It's not only the center of your character's story and RPG progression with their strong aesthetics and cosmetic rewards and picking which side you'll represent, but also your power progression in game too. The Covenant abilities and soul-binding talent trees being elements that will shape your gameplay experience, maybe more than they should. Because I think I speak for everyone when I say, I just want those unique Covenant abilities to be balanced, even if that makes them largely underwhelming. I'm fine with my Covenant choice being pretty much an aesthetic choice. Actually, that's what I want. I don't want to have to choose Bastion and hang around with the cast of the Blue Man Group's Ancient Greece adventure just because it gives me the best ability for my class. Because I'm gonna be choosing the Vampire Bitey Boys. There's nothing that can change that, I'm afraid, so for the sake of my raid spot, I need to be able to do that without there being a wrong choice. And in WoW, anything that isn't the most optimal choice is the wrong choice. Now here's the problem. That's very likely something that we are not going to be able to tell from any of these early alpha builds, because whether your Covenant choice is dictated by your class's optimum Covenant abilities or not is really going to end up being a numbers issue, and numbers tuning is always one of the very last things that gets done. So when we finally get to see all of these Covenant abilities, and don't forget the plan at the moment is that each of the 4 factions has one class specific ability each, so there's a lot to try out. It's certain that there will be some that are OP or broken, so yes, our feedback is very important here, but what's less useful would be to dive into the first week of alpha and to say, these abilities are really unbalanced and broken, therefore the Covenant abilities are a really bad idea and should be scrapped. F you, Garrison's Return. This is the artifact or Azerite armor of Shadowlands. It's definitely going to be in the game, and it's very important that we give Blizz everything they need to make it work, and not just dismiss it if we don't like it on week 1. And when I say we, obviously, I mean you, because I'm not telling them anything, because I ain't no snitch. And the same principle goes for class changes. A lot of early feedback around classes inevitably involves complaining that certain things are over or underpowered, but that's pointless at this stage. If you're lucky enough to find yourself in the alpha, concentrate on whether changes make your class more fun to play or not. No one is touching those numbers until the last.
I just started Guild Wars maybe a week ago, so not thousands, but let me check. But I'm not a bad rev, so don't be scared. I came from WoW. Yeah, so I'm used to MMOs, but I played 174. And I won 80. No. I'm rank 32. No. 31, sorry. Rank 31. Yeah, all I do is PvP. I don't even do the story yet. I haven't done the story. Most of it. Dang. I had a 80 warrior and the Revenant that I play main. The Revenant's my main though. Waiting for party.
Might makes me right.
After we're done with the tourney, do you want to do rank? But are you like gold or silver? What are you? Oh, nice. Okay, we're good. Yeah, I'm silver 2 right now. I'm silver 3.
Last weeks leading up.
My teams be butt, bro. Like, they don't listen. Damn. I just want to hurry up and hit gold. I feel like, gee. Yeah, I wish we could queue in threes, you know, not twos. And, you know, comps would be crazy. Get your heal, bro. Oh yeah.
Quickly.
That is their job. They Twitch stream probably. Right. I'm trying to find a necklace that does the most healing. What necklace does the most healing? Not Avatar, is it? Can't be. Mender. Mender, yeah, it is Mender. I'm gonna use that one so I can get more heals out for y'all. Yeah, Mender and what's the best? Oh, I gotta find this myself. In a barrier. I'm trying to focus on healing for y'all. So I'm trying to find a good amulet too. I mean, a good rune for healing. You know of any good rune for healing? All right, yeah,
No disciplines.
okay, yeah. All right, let's test this bad boy out. And I'm running shield too, so it's extra fun. Survivability.
What can I do for you? History is mine.
We're in Q.
up to the pre-patch. Another thing I'm going to be looking out for, especially in this alpha, is the gearing. I think generally the community is yearning for more deterministic reward systems in play. Day-to-day experience. It's often the first thing you see when you log on, and how cozy and intuitively laid out it is can have a massive impact on your enjoyment. I'm really hoping
I'm debating on if I should run shield for real, for real. I'm a what? The Revenant. I was conditioned for a while, but this build I'm doing with the heals is just like off the rip, you know. I'm set for power though, so I should just run my dual swords, but still have the same healing runes and shit for the off heals. Yeah, so I got sword, shield, and then staff for the, you know, like the dodges. So that's probably the best build for me, ain't it? For this? Yeah, so I'm gonna keep it, yeah. Assassin and Dragon Stance. Dragon's a go because it has that good heal, that the tab heal. But Assassin Stance, that's for self healing. I might want to swap that and get Dwarf Stance though, just for y'all. Yeah, for group heals too. Yeah. Watch the change the target. Let me see what that does.
Might makes me right.
Oh, I see. So it just keeps healing. I like that a lot actually. I should, yeah, read around and tell with a bunch of. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna run that with Dragon. Yeah, so I get max heals. Let's go! I'm lit. Alright, let's fucking go. Your guild active? Yes, sir. Hey, this guy wants an invite to the guild. Do I just invite him? The guy that's in our party? We got any officers online? I don't even know how to invite him. It's the guy in our party. Yeah. The one at the bottom. Yeah, Necromancer. Joking is online. Look how fast the heals are with Centaur stance. Damn. See what else the spec does. Force energy to erupt the attack when knocking back foes and leaving them behind healing fragments that you not lost. Oh, look at that. Okay, let's do.
Oh, yo, is this activity? Nice. What's up, guys?
What's up, yo? Yeah, we're doing the tournament right now.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I missed
Squad.
it.
I'm like main healer in here when we go in.
I'm almost gold too.
Nice. Get that plat, boy.
Oh my god. I want it.
Can the enemies attack the tablet, by the way?
I don't think so.
Oh, we're gonna be broke. I'm gonna have so many heals for you guys.
In right now?
Might
Yeah,
makes
we're in.
me right.
It just popped. One of the guys. Oh yeah, I just invited him. Yep. So I got us a recruit. Woo woo.
Nice.
All right, Skyhammer boys, let's go to work. This isn't a bad one. Ready up, yo. Man, fight's about to be crazy.
The match starts soon.
Let's go, boys. All right, who's getting home? Somebody get home. Oh, you got home? All right, nice. All right, let's move.
Hold on to your points.
Speed boost up. Let's go. Oh, they're going for our home straight up. got mid. Throw me at mid. Come on in.
The enemy has point A.
Ah, they got me down. I'm down a mid. I'm down a mid. On my way back. Far as C, I think.
Lock and load.
Again mid.
Attack my target.
Cores installed. Charging the laser.
The enemy has point A. Point C is yours now. Point B belongs to you.
Cannon operational. Ready for targeting coordinates.
Point C is in enemy hands.
Charging the laser.
Nothing can bring me down.
Skyhammer calibrated to red.
Might makes me right. Not enough energy. Another proud moment. The spoils of
Point A is yours.
Does everybody? Was that on?
might makes me right. The fury is mine. The spoils of battle.
Did you guys see the kitty cats? I gotta go take a screenshot before they're gone. Apparently, they're all over Tyria, except in Heart of the Mist. No, us PvPers will get triggered, so they didn't do it in here.
Victory at any cost.
Oh, I think you have to use the potion, maybe?
Hey, what's up, everybody? Hit that claw of the realms and the conqueror of the cat right there. we see now. End of April Fools. Be around that. Oh, there goes a cat.
Another proud moment. I gotta go.
I actually don't see giant cats. I don't get it. Oh wait, I totally do. Holy cow, it's huge.
I guess there's just cats scattered throughout the city. Alright, well, fun again.
Yeah, I do. That was actually annoying. Yeah, I'm here. I was thinking today, well, this afternoon, we'll do a whole bunch of 1v1s to train up different classes for each of us. You work till midnight? What's your time zone? So midnight for you is 10 p.m. for me. Alberta. Mountain time. We can start 1v1s right away here. I just wanted to do. I like to. Because I'm.
The match starts soon. Hold on to your points. Seize theirs. Attack my target. The waterfall is yours. You've lost the quarry.
Might makes me right.
You lost the waterfall.
Defense, then offense.
The waterfall is yours.
Swallow the enemy. Getting healthy. Defense, then offense. I'll be all right. Soon.
You lost the waterfall.
Mine.
The waterfall is yours. Attack my target. You've captured the quarry.
Are you guys still in that same tournament? Oh, cool.
Might makes me right.
Yeah, tournament is 4 games Swiss points.
lost the quarry.
Yeah, there's no giant kitties in Heart of the Mist. I know. Why would they just give it to the PvEers?
The waterfall is yours.
It's
You lost the graveyard.
complained about the aviator kit, that's why. Back in the day, as you said.
Nothing for me. Come away.
I'll be right back. Already? Back. Hello?
Yo,
Huh?
how was the tournament?
We're getting thrashed. Thrashed.
Really?
Yes. I'm not
Not
joking.
one win?
Not one. We had 2 L's so far. Two.
Okay.
I had to switch to my warrior. Hopefully we get something out of this. My rev wasn't doing enough to the teams we were fighting, so I'm pulling out the big boy, hoping for the best. I feel like we just gotta coordinate better, like move, move better. Cause we got a decent comp, we just gotta move.
Nothing can bring me down.
Right. Uh,
You must visit more often. I chose you. Fury is mine. No discounts. Might makes me right.
ooh. Hello, hello, hello. What the hell? What happened? Your team received a bye. What?
It it means there's not enough players on in the game or in the tournament.
Oh damn.
So it's an automatic win.
Nice. We
Kinda.
won. We won. Tournament victory. Yes, we did it. Yeah. Shitty. Yeah, they took an L. Yeah, yeah. Squad. That's fine. This is bullshit.
That's all I
It's okay, except you're gonna get to not play for the duration. So you'll be sitting around.
Oh no, for real?
Yeah, like you're gonna be sitting around for the duration of one game. That's what a
Can
buy
we do
means.
1v1s? Can we do 1v1s real quick or
Yeah,
something?
you could go in an arena, yeah.
Do y'all have a room we can go into?
Use the one I bought. It was expensive. I want you guys to use it.
Alright, let me go into guild, then go to where do we go?
It's just in the browser. It's called But
Here's
I'm
what's going on
Serious.
across the country. So there's a series of strikes. So they're doing that in Los Angeles.
Browser?
They're
Do I go
doing
to guild first?
LA
I do
Tenants
that right.
Union is going
No,
and they're
it's in the
protesting at the
PvP
mayor's
browser.
office and they're demanding canceled
Oh,
rent,
PvP,
cancel
my bad.
foreclosures, and cancel
Let me go
evictions
to
because their
game
evictions are
browser.
coming.
Then go
Yeah,
to
Barack Obama
There you
kicked
go.
5.1 million families
why
out of
so
their house. You
serious?
don't think Trump's going to do that?
But I'm
You don't think
serious.
Mnuchin's going to do
Oh,
that?
but
They're
I'm
coming.
serious. Alright guys, let's do
And
these
now across the
1v1s while we
country,
wait.
there's wildcat strikes happening everywhere. And so now is the time to
I need to
organize these
save this
workers.
one.
Bernie Sanders has an email list. Our Revolution
But I'm
has an
serious
email list.
arena.
They
It's at
know
the
the
forest,
heads
right?
of other unions. They could do this. They're
It's
not
actually
doing
Legacy of
anything.
Fire.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
one.
Here's a strike.
it.
Here's a strike. For Whole Foods employees are
You
staging
guys
a
don't want to go there and do
nationwide sit-down.
1v1s while we
Workers say
wait?
they will strike Tuesday.
Get
That's
warmed up?
today because the Amazon subsidiary has failed to prioritize their safety during a period of record sales. This is
I'm on
they're
blue
never
team.
going to give you anything. You have to demand it. Power makes no concessions. You have to demand it. Power
Who else is
concedes
here?
nothing.
Nobody's here.
And so now we have all the power.
join red.
Workers, essential
I
workers.
already joined.
And if I had an email list like Our Revolution or a senator or Elizabeth Warren or anybody,
Red
I would be reaching out to other leaders saying, let's get all together. Here's the message. Here's the letter. The letter is we're going on a rent strike. We're going on a mortgage strike. And we're doing this until we
ready.
get A, B, C, and D, whatever the fuck it is.
But I'm serious, like space.
They're doing nothing.
But space.
There's
space
another
serious,
strike.
and it's the
Watsonville
full fire. You should
nurses
see
call
one
for
person,
higher
and it's me.
protective equipment standards. Nurses are calling for stronger
You'll
personnel
just look at
protective
everything,
equipment
chat.
standards and
It
to
should just
protest
say
staff
who in your party
cancellation.
joined what arena.
There's another one. Pittsburgh sanitation workers walk out over lack of protective equipment. It's happening all
Did you
over
join
the
my team?
country.
No, you didn't.
Here
Alright,
it is.
you ready?
Bath Iron Works Union asked for shipyard closure after
Brokenheimer's
half
in
of the
here.
workers failed to
Whoever that is.
show. BJCTA responds to Max bus drivers are on strike in Birmingham due to
Go to,
COVID-19.
but I'm serious. And you'll see it.
Do you see who has the power? Do you see who has the power? Do you see who's essential? It's not venture capitalists. Do you see who's essential? Do you see who actually makes the wealth? Detroit bus drivers win protections against virus through strike.
And then, yeah, when you're in
Kroger
there, just don't ready
warehouse
up and it
workers
won't
walk out in
restart.
Memphis over coronavirus concerns. Here's another one. Some Fiat Chrysler workers walk out over COVID-19. They're walking out all over the country. Here's another one. McDonald's workers demand protection amidst coronavirus outbreak.
Oof. Oof.
Purdue workers walk off production line
Ooh,
in
he has
Georgia
gross
over
damage.
coronavirus
Oof.
safety measures.
Eee.
It's happening all over the country.
Shit.
We showed you yesterday
That
that
was gross.
General
I said,
Electric
"Nee, nee,
workers
nee."
said
The
they
fuck?
stopped working. We're not making jet parts or whatever. We want
wanna
to start
rematch on
making
that one.
ventilators. They went on strike.
Get
If
back
the
here.
grocery workers went on strike, one day it would
back
bring this
here.
country to its knees. If Amazon, UPS, and grocery workers went on strike one
Alright.
day,
You think
it would
you
bring
slick,
this country
huh?
to its knees.
You think you slick?
And I don't see
Got something
anybody
for you,
organizing that. These
sir.
are all wildcat strikes.
The other team just doesn't know that you got to
So
ring
we need
the
a
bell.
general strike. And what I don't need
They just
is
don't
another
care that
goddamn
we're just gonna
email from a progressive leader or
completely by
organization
ringing the bell.
telling me to donate to them, or telling me how bad Trump is, or telling me that I need to do charity in this moment that they're giving $4.2 trillion while we still have homeless people.
Well, he went even harder this match.
Hey, this is the part where I tell you where our live shows are, but there aren't
Well,
any.
you're on my team.
And then I would
Shit.
tell you to go join our premium, but nobody has a
Sure.
fucking job. So why don't you just enjoy the video?
Elementalists are gross. What the fuck? Ah! Ah! That's so disgusting. Oh my god.
Reinforcements requested.
But
Yeah, we're
first,
doing the
America
turning.
and
We have to
shutdown
wait for the
day 15.
for the queue.
Now today we lost more than 800 Americans who had tested positive for the coronavirus. That's the largest single-day number since this nightmare began.
All right,
A
come back
staggering
one more time. I
three-quarters
think I
of
got
our
it this
fellow citizens are living under some sort of stay-at-home
think
order
he's slick, huh?
issued by state governors.
think he's super.
New York Governor Andrew Cuomo, while
That's
noting
not
that
him.
they're not at the COVID apex yet, did offer some encouraging news.
We're
Gotta
taking
be
more
a
people
nice
than any
doggy.
state in the country, and I'm very proud of that. More per capita than China and South Korea. Number of intubations was down, not much, but it was down, and that's a good sign. You also
Trump beats
see
this
the
time, I'm
number
gonna be a
of
sick puppy.
discharges
'Cause I'm
going
pulling
up,
out all
and
the
that's
wazoo right now.
consistent.
Now, the numbers in
Yeah,
Washington
ready.
State and even
Let's get it.
California are also offering some hope.
Slide that gives us great hope and understanding about what is possible. On the bottom of the slide, where you can barely see that.
All right, your
blue line
build
at
is
the
just
very bottom,
disgusting. I don't know
that's
what
the
the hell
current
is going on. But
cases
Oh, I
in
hear you guys
California,
talk about
the
it.
cumulative
Really makes me
cases in
wanna
California,
come
where they're
fight you.
doing significant testing.
I mean, he's
The
a
next line
elemental.
up
Is
is Connecticut.
1v1
The
is
orange
kind
line
of
is New Jersey.
it ain't
The
working
blue
for a
line
warrior.
is New York. The yellow line is Washington.
Oh, is he
Well,
elemental?
that's encouraging.
Oh, he's a guardian. Oh, get the. I thought it was other. He's a guardian.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday. We have an amazing show for everybody today. What do we have, Crystal?
Indeed, we do.
Hold
We
on,
have Glenn
hold on.
Greenwald
Let me
on to
switch
talk
something
about
up real
preserving
quick.
civil liberties and that balance in the coronavirus era. We've got a report on how farmers are faring through all of this, and we're also going to check in with the Trump campaign about how the coronavirus crisis has changed their approach. But let's start with the ongoing sort of pause Democratic primary. New report in the Hill from Amy Parnes and Jonathan Easley that Biden's folks want Sanders out and they want him out now.
What's your health right now?
Yeah, so Biden allies, this is per these two great reporters, are privately grumbling that Sanders
No,
will not
not
get out of the
100%.
presidential race.
17K.
And
That's
they're
it?
worried they're
Privately
repeating-
grumbling by talking to
just
reporters like
privately
Amy
grumbling,
Parnes and Jonathan
leaking
Easley.
it
108.
out to anybody who will listen that they are repeating the problem of 2016 when a long primary fight was seen as hurting Hillary Clinton, the eventual Democratic nominee. So they're already laying the groundwork, it seems, Crystal, for Sanders stayed in too late. He bashed Biden. Actually, I don't even think he said a word about Biden.
I wish he bashed Biden.
Yeah. I was saying in the last month, I actually can't think of a real attack that he's leveled against Biden.
Or really
Not since-
ever.
All right, yo, Firebrand is broke.
And
So,
yeah, broadly,
I don't know.
they're just waiting. They're waiting to write the exact same script that they did in 2016,
Yeah.
which is that Bernie was in the race for too long. His presence was divisive. He didn't do enough to get me elected. When I think we were all fairly certain that whenever the
good
campaign
old-fashioned
starts back
lagoon
up,
right
I'm sure.
there.
I mean, and if Bernie is not the nominee, he's going to be stumping all he can for Joe Biden. The question is why won't his people follow him? Well, we know because people don't support people just because of their last name.
Right.
Or they're like, I'll follow you to the ends of the earth. There's a
these
reason
hands,
that a poll
boy.
shows 15% of Bernie supporters will vote for Trump. We don't know how many of them will stay home. I suspect it will actually be a pretty substantial margin. There you go. I mean, there's a reason for that. It's because they supported that campaign for the ideas behind it. And if Biden does nothing to espouse those ideas,
Right.
Bernie saying, yeah, you should go vote for him, is not going to do it.
It's not going to do it, but they would never take that responsibility onto themselves. I also love like the confidence that they have in their candidate that they're already preemptively explaining why he might
know that don't you
ultimately
show me,
lose,
bro?
and of course has nothing to do with them or him. Not their fault at all. It's all on Bernie Sanders. If Bernie and Susan Sarandon and all the rest don't get in line and pledge to vote Joe and get out of the race the moment that the Democratic establishment tells them they must get out of the race and end, any sort of democratic process there, shut down all the debates, all of that. If Bernie Sanders dares to stay in, and what has he been doing? Right? It's not like, as you
It's not
point
like
out,
coronavirus live stream.
he's not even critiquing Joe Biden. He's using his presidential campaign and infrastructure to raise money for relief efforts, to do roundtables and live streams with experts and leaders who can help educate and inform, pushing for,
He's
the policies
blocking
that he
literally
thinks would be best to deal with
everything,
this
bruh.
crisis. But I don't know how you can look at that and be like, he's selfish because he dares to say everybody should have health care during a pandemic.
And here's what the Bernie, supporters, this is what the Bernie campaign, or I guess Bernie allies told the Hill. They said they think it's only fair their supporters get a chance to cast a ballot for Sanders in the primary.
Yeah.
And they believe it's critical to add a counterbalance to Biden that keeps
Something
the likely
gross. I don't know
nominee
what
sharp for the general election.
Okay.
I mean, it's pretty
I went
reasonable.
vitality bill.
Think about when Elizabeth Warren was hanging out in the race, even though she hadn't been able to win. She won like one county in Iowa. That was it, right? Gets third place in the neighboring state of New Hampshire. And she's hanging in there. And there was all this pushback against any Bernie supporter who would suggest that she should get out, endorse Bernie, to support progressive values. It was, it was outrage. How dare you tell anyone that they get out of the race? But then when it comes to Bernie, of course, they've been telling him to drop out since like last summer. So it's really nothing new.
It's just so stupid. And you look at all of this, and you see why that they might want to think a little bit about their Democratic nominee. We have a new analysis out at the Hill of a Grinnell College national poll. It was released this morning. It shows that 55% of likely voters who said that they would back Biden say that their minds are made up. and that 43% could be persuaded to support a different candidate, okay? So let's compare that to Donald Trump. Well, he holds much stronger sway over supporters. 82% of the likely voters who say they will support Trump say that their minds are made up. Only 17% say that they will still be persuadable. So literally almost half of the people who are like, yeah, I might vote for Biden could be persuaded to support Donald Trump or another likely candidate, whereas the margin on that for Trump is way lower. Compare that with
But the
what we
last
talked
one,
about
I figured out,
earlier on the
if I run a vitality
enthusiasm
build
gap
against
in
a
their supporters.
firebrand, I
This
do
is a
better.
disaster for Joe Biden.
And they did the
Like, as in
enthusiasm
the
question
barbarian
in this
amulet,
poll as
instead of
well.
going,
So this is new. We brought you numbers from a different poll earlier this week. In this
Berserker
particular
amulet, which
poll,
only gives you 19k health,
55%
and I'm
of
not running
Trump
spells,
supporters said they're very
Spellbreaker,
enthusiastic
which
in
I
their
should
support,
be running.
while only
probably handle
28% of Biden supporters
But I
say
went back
that
to
they
Berserk
are
for the
very
damage, because
enthusiastic in their
Spellbreaker
support.
dagger, bro, I
So
can't
yeah,
drop
when you
people
see
as
those
fast as I
numbers,
can
if
in
you're a
Berserker.
Biden ally, if you're the
Like, off
Democratic
top.
establishment, you're already trying to explain what's going on, and
Spellbreaker
you know
dagger
they'll
shield.
never do any sort of self-reflection or accountability.
Yeah,
So they got to blame
but
Bernie for it. It's all
it's,
his fault for
I
daring
feel like in
to
a team
stay
fight,
in the
like,
race.
I
I
wouldn't
mean, we
be
should
doing my
point
job
out
if I was Spellbreaker. I mean, I would pull people toward our team with a little rope, but that's a bit, I don't know. Oh, Volcano gotta go.
Yo, Stefan, this is after your shift, hey? Like you got off work a few hours ago?
Yeah, I'm still up.
Ah.
I'm straight though. Like, I sleep during my shift sometimes.
Allowed to? Or they just don't know?
Oh, we lost one. Anybody else want to come to attorney? Joe?
I don't think it'll let you replace him.
Are you serious? What? No, I lost. Whoever said gotta go, I lost him. Somebody said they had to go. Me and you after this are doing ranked. Damn. Well, the Reaver left for the Necro. He had to go. Joe, you still up for ranks, bro? We placed, what did we place? Well, we got 5 gold, so I guess we did okay.
9 to 16. Not bad. Good job, guys. The was a buy. There might have been less than 16 teams. But don't take it.
We might have placed the last. We placed last. Fuck.
You can actually tell. You can tell. So go to the auto tournament interface. And then, which one were you in? You would have been in grants. And then you go standings, and then you look for the team name that it gave you. And yeah, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 13 teams. So that means no matter what, you would have got the 5 golds. But depending on your team name, you could have been like in the top or in the bottom 5, maybe. So you were either 9th to 13th. No, bad. And just so you guys know, in the guild interface, you could click on teams, and you could like arrange a team. So if you guys ever want, I can make someone a team leader, and that way you can assign players for the team, so that way when you play a tournament, you can know exactly which place you are in that list. If that makes sense. Judging from the lack of response, it doesn't make sense.
Wait. My bad. I was texting my brother.
No, it's okay. So if you guys ever want, you can just ask me to make you a team, and I can assign a team leader for that team, and that way you can see
All
which
right,
place
ladies
you
and gentlemen,
are
so
in
welcome back to the workshop
tournament.
here in Crossout. So this was our
It's
redneck.
just easier instead of like the auto assigned team names like Iron Blooded Pigs and shit.
Oh, I see what you're
assisting.
saying.
Yeah.
Flying Ninja Turtles.
Oh, guess what? It's April here, and we just got a huge snowfall, and it's like below 10 right now, Celsius. I don't know what that means. Like, I think 25 degrees Fahrenheit or something. 20 degrees Fahrenheit. So my joke is, hey, Alberta, the Ninja Turtles called. They're looking for April. Okay, it's bad. My brother told me it was a bad joke, but I don't believe him.
I need to smoke. That's what I'm stressing. I'll be right back, alright, boys? Yo, we still doing rank though, bro? Whoever's in my party right now? Oh, hell yeah. It's 3. Not yet, though. After I get my smoke in. Be like 1 minute.
Five Qs, but it got really troll. That's why they made auto tournaments for like a more competitive 5Q to not mess with the rank system. Yeah.
Dude, turning. Oh. Hug my pig. Oh, tits. Oh, I thought those were like unguided rockets or something. They're definitely cannons, so I don't think we want to go across this bridge right now. Oh yeah, look at that. Oh god, we gotta get out of there. They're doing the same thing. Oh shit! All right, let's ambush. Dude, that was just a massacre. Now let's kill Lisa. Yes! Now let's all go as a pack. Oh shit! Oh! Obi-2! Obi-2, what are you doing? He ran into me and like he blew up. Dude, this is a massacre. This is what a route looks like, boys. They may have the high position, but charge! Damn, we didn't connect with any one of those 25mm rounds. All right, Bacon Nice. Oh, I thought his name was Baron Ice. Oh, Orlando? Orlando? Oh, never mind. Orlando
Stefan
died.
went for a smoke, I think. That's Stefan. He went.
Yeah, we kind of pre-fired. Look, this guy's got to go off the cliff. Oh, he's destroyed, though. Sniper positions. All right, this autocannon, I'm liking it. I wish I could. I want to build with multiple autocannons. Where's the last one? Oh, he's like right here. Oh, shit, there he is. I wish you could shoot down trees, dude. In before physics. Kill assist, we'll take it though. We should have decent XP from that one. How many?
Oh yeah, my team totally loses this match.
In 2012, John Tapper was called in to rescue Extreme Sports Bar and Grill, a bikini bar teetering on the brink of failure.
We were in debt $180,000. The bar was dilapidated.
You had a lot of issues. Terry drinking all the time.
We're doing this. Cheers.
John immediately took charge and addressed the major issues between owner Terry and manager Gary.
We have a great GM, we empower him, and we have systems.
I started trusting him more, and things were outstanding.
By implementing new food, drinks, as well as uniforms for the bartenders.
The uniforms that John gave us, we liked. They were cute and complimenting.
Turning the once failing Extreme into second base. And as a result, sales skyrocketed. However, at the height of their success, second base was thrown a curveball and began losing $4,000 a month.
Powerhouse sports bars moved within a mile. Obviously, they must have listened to John too. Business took off for them and declined for us.
As sales dwindled, Terry and Gary began blaming each other for the shrinking customer base.
I mean, what can we do?
Put some money in your bar.
So focused on paying off his debt, Terry failed to reinvest any money back into the bar. Once again, the bar began to fall apart.
With business declining, I was not able to maintain the kegerators, buying product. Plumbing started going bad.
You gotta do something about this bathroom. Something about this bathroom.
Bad.
You gotta do something about this bathroom.
The kegerators, buying product. Plumbing started going bad.
You gotta do something about this bathroom.
Terry just said there's no money, there's no customers, go back to the bikinis. That's what I made my businesses off of.
With the clock winding down and having been rescued by John once already, second base is in need of a pinch hitter.
If the bar just shut down, we'll probably have to file bankruptcy.
Faced with the embarrassment of a re-rescue and the possibility of closing second base for good, Terry has agreed to pull back the doors, bust open the books, and make a call for help to Bar Rescue. Again.
Good morning.
Race, the moment that the Democratic establishment tells them they must get out of the race and end, any sort of democratic process there, shut down all the debates, all of that. If Bernie Sanders dares to stay in, and what has he been doing? Right? It's not like, as you
It's not
point
like
out,
coronavirus live stream.
he's not even, I mean, he's not even critiquing Joe Biden. He's using his presidential campaign and infrastructure to raise money for relief efforts, to do roundtables and live streams with experts and leaders who can help educate and inform, pushing for, yes, the policies that he thinks would be best to deal with this crisis. But I don't know how you can look at that and be like, he's selfish
Bernie,
because
you
he
ready?
dares to say everybody should have health care during a pandemic.
And
It's
here's
insane.
what the Bernie, I guess, supporters, this is what the Bernie campaign, or I guess Bernie allies told the Hill. They said they think it's only fair their supporters get a chance to cast a ballot for Sanders in the primary.
Yeah.
And they believe it's critical to add a counterbalance to Biden that keeps the likely nominee sharp for the general election.
Okay.
I mean, it
How
seems
dare
pretty
they?
reasonable.
Yeah. Well, think about when Elizabeth Warren was hanging out in the race,
Right.
even though she hadn't been able to win. She won like one county in Iowa. That was it, right? Gets third place in the neighboring state of New Hampshire. And she's hanging in there. And there was all this pushback against any Bernie supporter who would suggest that she should get out, endorse Bernie to support progressive values. It was, there was outrage. How dare you tell anyone that they get out of the race? But then when it comes to Bernie, of course, they've been telling him to drop out since like last summer. So it's really nothing new.
It's just so stupid. And you look at all of this, and you see why that they might want to think a little bit about their Democratic nominee. We have a new analysis out at the Hill of a Grinnell College national poll. It was released this morning. It shows that 55% of likely voters who said that they would back Biden say that their minds are made up, and that 43% could be persuaded to support a different candidate, okay? So let's compare that to Donald Trump. Well, he holds much stronger sway over supporters. 82% of the likely voters who say they will support Trump say that their minds are made up. Only 17% say that they will still be persuadable. So literally almost half of the people who are like, yeah, I might vote for Biden, could be persuaded to support Donald Trump or another likely candidate, whereas the margin on that for Trump is way lower. Compare that with what we talked about earlier on the enthusiasm gap in their supporters. This is a disaster for Joe Biden.
And they did the enthusiasm question in this poll as well. So this is new. We brought you numbers from a different poll earlier this week. In this particular poll, 55% of Trump supporters said they're very enthusiastic in their support, while only 28% of Biden supporters say that they are very enthusiastic in their support. So yeah, when you see those numbers, if you're a Biden ally, if you're the Democratic establishment, you're already trying to explain what's going on, and they'll never do any sort of self-reflection or accountability. So they got to blame Bernie for it. It's all his fault for daring to stay in the race. I mean, we should point out, Joe is leading Trump in this poll. He's leading Trump in most of the polls, although we're seeing in a lot of them that margin is starting to narrow. And if you compare it to 2016, Hillary was up by a lot
far more
at this point in the race. But I don't want anyone to get the sense that Biden is definitely going to lose. I don't think you could say anything's definitely going to happen, especially now while we're living through this black swan event that has never happened in human history. I don't think anyone knows how that plays in the days, weeks, and months to come. But if you're the Biden camp, right now, while he should have this halo around him, it should be an amazing position that he's in right now, because he just gets to stand on the outside and critique. He doesn't have to actually do anything. There haven't been any negative ads run against him. The Trump campaign had a whole playbook ready to roll out to define Joe early, the way that Obama did with Mitt Romney so effectively. They've pulled back on that because, of course, you can't do that while the nation is in this deep
Who is Wreckful?
What about an hour?
To some, he's a Twitch veteran, one of the original best streamers and a staple of his community. To many popular streamers, he's a friend, a respected peer.
Oh my god, I got a
Wreckful
key.
is so many things
Hope I
to
get a
so
skin.
many people. The impact that he's had on his community, the people who watch him, and the people in his life is profound. But not everyone knows who Wreckful is, so if you don't, then let me make this one thing clear. This is not just the history of a Twitch streamer. This is the life of Byron Bernstein. Our story begins on May 8th, 1989, when Itamar and Judith Bernstein have their third son, Byron, the youngest after his two older brothers, Guy and Gary. When Byron was 2 years old, the family moved from Israel to America. His brothers, more than 8 years older than him, grew up in Tel Aviv, but Byron would spend his formative childhood years in California. His family had a great deal of influence on the kind of person that he would grow up to be. His father was a lawyer, a writer, and spoke multiple languages. His influence taught Byron to value intellectualism and ambition, and his brothers introduced him to a world of video games and technology that would change his life in ways that none of them could imagine. When Byron was only 4, his older brother Guy let him play the game Doom, hacking the final level so that he could actually beat it. They also introduced him to the Super Nintendo, where he would play one of his favorite games of all time, Secret of Mana. But it wouldn't be until 1999 that Byron would get his first taste of the massive multiplayer online genre, the very same genre that would one day come to define his career. See, his middle brother Gary had this idea of taking the Pokemon IP and turning it into an MMO, and in order to do that, he would need some experience with playing one. The clerk at the store strongly recommended that they went with the game Asheron's Call, so they did. And with that simple, impromptu decision, Byron's life was put on a path that would one day lead to him becoming Wreckful. He made an account under the name Antiparazzi, a play on words in Hebrew, and with his terrible dial-up internet, he was off on his first massive multiplayer online adventure.
Did I accept it? Yeah, I accept it. Alright, be right back.
Asheron's Call was an MMO that focused a lot on combat, which of course meant fighting other players. See, in this game, you could identify yourself as a player killer, or a PK. And if you were a PK, then you were free to attack any other player that was also a PK. And as such, they were free to attack you. And Byron Bernstein, well, he just happened to be a PK. Over time, Byron would become the best player in the game by far, and he was known for his ability to defeat pretty much anyone that he encountered. To this very day, an Urban Dictionary entry exists under the name Antiparazzi that shows this message. The very same message that you would see after losing to Byron in battle. And I gotta say, thanks to some unintentional advanced techniques, the movement and battle system actually had a lot of depth to it. He played Asheron's Call throughout middle school and high school, his adolescence being shaped by the game in many ways. Actually, the rapping has nothing to do with the game, I just wanted to show that clip. By the time Asheron's Call began losing relevance, Byron was nearly a young adult. He was nerdy, he played guitar, he liked Elliott Smith, and he even had a girlfriend. Her name was Jenna. But all of this was only the beginning. Asheron's Call introduced him to MMOs, but nothing could compare him to the impact of what was coming next. In 2004, Blizzard would release the world record-breaking MMORPG World of Warcraft. And it would be the beginning of something incredible.
Rodham Clinton and her delusion that anyone cares what she has to say anymore. Now, we all know YouTube videos created about why one woman in particular sucks don't have the best track record. But it's completely different here because I'm a woman in a lab coat and there are no Funko Pops behind me. I'm sure you are amazed that I have the time to be conducting real scientific experiments alongside also cyberbullying Warren fans on Twitter. Well, I wear many hats. Not just a beanie all the time, that would be disgusting. Now lads, I shouldn't have to tell you this, but the scientific method is the absolute most basic way of answering a question, scientifically. And hey, I could use more complicated means, but I know that my audience aren't as experienced in the sciences as I am. And unlike some YouTubers, I don't talk down to my pathetic loser simps. So of course, the first thing we need when we're doing the scientific method is an observation. And what is it that I currently observe? Well, I observe that Hillary Clinton fucking sucks, and that she will never be president. You will never defeat the Electoral College. Never, ever. And yet, she continues to foist her lukewarm, stale, salty presence on the American public. She leeches energy from us so she can speculate about what kind of president she would have been if people had Pokemon gone to the polls. And some say she's still chilling in Cedar Rapids with hot sauce in her bag.
I'm just chilling in Cedar Rapids.
Psych! She's working on a podcast and a Hulu documentary. I want to jump off a building.
last night was a disaster. It was every man, woman for themselves, and the bar can't run that way. The bar has to run as a team. But John wants to get us right back to the fundamentals right now. He wants a great cocktail, he wants a great experience, and so he wants to start off with a great whiskey mule. What we're gonna do is we're gonna have a race as a team to build the best whiskey mule.
I really want to see how the training goes. Hopefully that'll be a kickstart in the right direction. If it's not a kickstart, at least a kick in the ass.
So I'm gonna get 1, 2, and 1, 2. Take that well over there. I have you two here, and what we're gonna do is one person does one step, the next person does the other. You have to talk and work your whole way through.
Okay.
If not, I dump your drink and you start all over.
I'm feeling pretty good. I'm excited. I have a tendency to get in the zone, and I'll probably be like, that's over there, that's over there, that's over there.
Ready, set, go. Come on, let's do it. Up, throw that out, start again. Nope. Where'd you shake? At the guest. If this breaks off, it breaks her nose. You lose everything.